California is about to invade Texas. USC heads to Dallas to face Tulane in the Cotton Bowl on January 2nd, while UCLA will face Pitt in the Sun Bowl at El Paso on December 30th. Hi, I'm James of Faithful Angelino Sports with a special report. Bowl Selection Sunday for the Trojans and Bruins. And if you enjoy talking about those programs, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We talk about both schools here almost every day. Now, before we get to the Bruins, the Trojans, they dropped from 4th all the way to 10th in the college football playoff rankings after their loss to Utah in the Pac-12 title game on Friday. Yes, we know they were in line for a college football bowl playoff berth before the loss. How far USC fell, though, I don't know if it particularly matters at this point. The point, I think, for the Trojans was that they had improved to 11-2. Had they done so much improving to where they could have landed in a so-called New Year's Six game. So the Trojans did. They will be playing at 10 a.m. January 2nd in the Cotton Bowl. And as expected, ESPN went all in on backing Tulane. So let's take a moment, let's have some East Coast bias and talk about the Green Wave. This is Tulane's first major bowl since 1940, after they knocked out Central Florida yesterday afternoon in New Orleans. Willie Fritz has guided the team to 4 bowls, and frankly, going into this year, reaching that 4th bowl seemed like a bit of a stretch. In 2021, for example, they went just 2-10. Fritz, to his credit, though, changed offensive coordinators. The new guy, Jim Svoboda, came in and installed a West Coast offense. They mix in a little bit of spread. They mix in a little RPO. I've seen Tulane play a few times this year. This matters because quarterback Michael Pratt's throwing shoulder got jacked up last year when the prior offensive scheme had him basically sitting back in the pocket too long. The West Coast offense, it's designed to get the ball out of a quarterback's hands quickly. So as a result, quarterback's been healthy and Pratt has been very effective. In yesterday's American Conference Championship, Pratt ripped UCF for 394 pass yards and 4 touchdowns. But they don't just pass the ball. Tyjae Spears leads Tulane with 1,376 rushing yards. Now, I don't necessarily know. Tulane, they did win the game, but to be fair, the Knights entered that game banged up. Their quarterback, John Rice Plumlee, was benched simply because he wasn't healthy enough. He couldn't answer the bell. The Knights had entered that game with the number 11 offense in the country. You got to figure, had they been at full strength, maybe Tulane might have had their hands full. But everything I say to you about the Green Wave has to be tempered because they are the American Conference champions. I mean, say what you want about the Pac-12, whether or not they can hang with the SEC, but do you really stay up at night fearing SMU, Memphis? Do you see what I'm saying? And those are traditionally decent programs in that conference. See, to me, this game on January 2nd is going to be all about the health of Caleb Williams, who popped a hamstring on Friday. Tulane does not force turnovers. They do have 2 linebackers they like a lot in Nick Anderson and Dorian Williams. The latter led the team with 114 tackles and 5 sacks. They also like edge rusher Darius Hodges, who had 5 sacks. The reason, though, that Williams matters, aside from the fact that he's a favorite for the Heisman Trophy, is that he guides the number 5 offense in the nation. USC was just 1 yard under 500 yards per game, 499. They also score 41 points per game on an average. Now, Tulane is a decent offense. They're 34th. They scored 35 points a game. They gain 433 yards per game. But again, who are they playing in the American Conference? To me, again, USC's fortunes lie all on the legs of Caleb Williams. If they're healthy enough, we'll get to that game at a later date when we know exactly how healthy he is. Meanwhile, for UCLA, they dropped in the rankings all the way to 18th. And much like the Trojans will be all about Williams, the Bruins are going to be all about Dorian Thompson-Robinson. For a significantly different reason, though. There have been reports that Thompson Robinson will skip bowl season in order to prepare for the NFL draft. And honestly, I sincerely hope that that does not turn out to be the case. Pitt, which finished the regular season at 8-4, has the 17th best defense in the country. The Panthers allow just 95 yards on the ground. This is huge, absolutely huge. It is a matchup you absolutely want to pay the money for if you actually forced yourself to live in a city like El Paso. This is your event for the year. You want to see that matchup because you have a defense that thinks that they can stop the run on anybody's running team and an offense that thinks that they can run on anybody. That is a terrific matchup right there. The Bruins, by the way, have the number 4 rushing offense in the country. But that dynamic running game takes a hit when you don't have Zach Charbonnet. When you don't have Thompson Robinson and you only have Zach Charbonnet back there. Now, either way, the Bruins are facing a Panthers team, which is on a 4-game winning streak. So they are peaking. Meanwhile, UCLA has lost 2 of its last 3. The Bruins are also going to face a familiar foe. Pitt is quarterbacked by Keaton Slovis, the former SC quarterback. Slovis beat the Bruins twice when he quarterbacked the Trojans. Now, Slovis is by no means as compelling a watch as Caleb Williams, but he did throw for 2,397 yards this year. He is still, however, interception prone. He has 10 touchdowns, but he also has 9 interceptions. So you theoretically can pick him off. Jared Wayne earned over 1,000 receiving yards, and Israel Ibukanda rushed for 1,431 yards. Look, the bottom line that I'm getting at is Pitt is balanced. They are also balanced because the entire offensive line returned from the season before. I'm trying to say they've recovered nicely from losing Jordan Addison to USC. Defensively, Servosia Dennis led the team with 7 sacks, 91 tackles. I would believe he would finish the year with a second All-ACC selection. But the other reason I would love to see Thompson Robinson play this game, Pitt doesn't have a lot of interceptions. They do not force a lot of turnovers. A couple of random notes before I let you guys go. Does anyone think the Pac-12 will go 0-5 again? Or lose 5 bowl games, like they did last year? I don't. 6 Pac-12 teams were ranked in the AP Top 25 at the end of the year. I've been saying this since I started this channel. A strong UCLA and a strong USC lifts the entire conference. I believe that to be the case. I also can't stress this enough. UCLA dodged a bullet. You really did. I'm not trying to claim that the Bruins are a bad football team. They're not. What I am saying is that they tied for 5th place in the conference. And in the tiebreaker, the Bruins were allegedly 6th. With USC not going to the college football playoffs, UCLA could have dropped into the Jimmy Kimmel Bowl. They avoided that little humiliation. There was no way that the Holiday Bowl would have risked selecting UCLA again, not after the Bruins backed out of the game in the last minute last year. So UCLA gets a better bowl than possibly expected. But the question is, will their quarterback be there? We will break down both of these games as they start to approach, but I wanted to give you guys a heads up as to what to expect. So let me know what you think in the comments thread. And if you enjoyed this little clip, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelinos. We talk USC and UCLA every single day here, pretty much. Thank you for watching. I'm James. Faithful Angelinos is a Kian Corte El Queso production. Take care.